Tonight, 7 on your side investigates a renewed promise from California's insurance commissioner.
I take responsibility. We're going to get this done, and we're going to stabilize our market.
You have had this authority to do that, to act on it. So why haven't you done it?
Is Ricardo Lara's plan of action on the side of consumers or insurers?
ABC 7 News reporter Stephanie Sierra holds the commissioner accountable on what exactly will change.
She joins us now. And Stephanie, this is something that affects all of us.
It does, in every county across the state. Now, the commissioner's plan is supposed to be implemented in less than a month, but his colleagues in the state legislature and dozens of members of Congress are worried his strategy is giving insurance companies too much leverage. So we pressed him about his promises to the public versus the fine print in his own regulation.
Well, I got a letter in the mail from my insurer, said they were dropping me.
We first introduced you to Janet Mountjoy last month. The 86-year-old widow is trying to make ends meet after being dropped by AAA.
I called repeatedly, begging them for reconsideration because I live right next to the fire station.
But she got no help from the insurer or the state, just like her Portola Valley neighbors.
Kind of stuck.
Certainly annoying.
There should be some progress.
If you ask California's insurance commissioner,
we have risen to this unprecedented challenge.
Ricardo Lara says progress is coming with a plan he calls the Sustainable Insurance Strategy that's supposed to be implemented by the end of the year. In it, he's made this promise.
Insurance companies will write no less than 85% of their statewide market share in wildfire distressed areas.
Insurance companies, for the first time, are committing to writing 85% of their business in the wildfire distressed areas.
Notice he says insurers are committing to writing policies in fire-prone areas, specifically 85% of their sales elsewhere. But we looked through his regulation and found why critics say that's misleading. That 85% figure is only the high end of a range. Insurers have the option to cover as little as 5% if they choose. And there's no mandate of compliance.
He's not doing his job.
I'm very disappointed, and he's been lying to the state.
You know, this is the commissioner's attempt.
Some of your critics, not just Consumer Watchdog, but others who have read the fine print of that proposal have said it's really only giving insurers the option to do 5% with no mandate of compliance. If you could answer yes or no, is that true?
That's inaccurate. That 5% is for our small and medium-sized companies.
But that's not what his own regulation says. I want to show you, we went through every page and nowhere in the fine print does it specify 5% is for small or medium-sized companies. In fact, the entire section is pretty vague, indicating any insurer may commit to writing more policies in fire-prone areas by at least 5%, but they have 2 years to do it if they choose to at all. So why isn't the regulation more clear? We wanted to ask him these follow-up questions in the interview, but it was cut off.
I know this is Mike. Stephanie, really quick, this is Mike Sala. I know you have questions because we do need to move him along.
I still have quite a bit, really important questions.
It happened not once.
Can I please ask a few more?
Not twice.
I know you gotta go. Okay.
But 3 times.
Stephanie, I gotta go. Thank you.
You gotta go.
Just under 30 minutes, and our time was up.
Is not available.
We asked Michael Soller the following week for around 15 minutes with the commissioner to ask some follow-up questions, but we never got an answer for an on-camera interview. So we resorted to back-and-forth emails, where I specifically asked his staff to point out where in this regulation it mentions the 5% option for small or medium-sized companies. His office never did, because it doesn't exist. Instead, we were told regulations are written broadly to enhance enforcement authority. So if insurers have the option to expand coverage by 5 to 85%, is that holding them accountable?
That's a big range.
And that's the fundamental problem we have is we have a weak commissioner. The companies know it, and they are exploiting it.
We got an independent perspective from Amy Bach with United Policyholders, a nonprofit insurance advocacy group.
Look, do I think it's a perfect plan? No. Do I think that there's a lot of wiggle room here for insurers? Yes, I do. Do I think this was probably the best deal that he was able to negotiate with insurers in order to try to bring them back? I guess it is.
But here's how the commissioner describes the plan.
To think creatively and be critically and critically with consumer protection at the forefront.
Is it true that there is no mandate of compliance, whether it's between 5 and 85%? There is no mandate of compliance, yes or no?
We cannot mandate underwriting.
He's mistaken.
Lara says he can't legally mandate insurers to comply with this regulation, citing Prop 103, which ironically is California's law that aims to hold insurers accountable by protecting consumers from arbitrary rates and practices. But the author of Prop 103, Harvey Rosenfield, says the case law his office is using to make that argument has since been ordered by the California Supreme Court to be depublished and is no longer part of the law.
We sent him 2 years ago a legal opinion and a legal analysis that showed that under Proposition 103, he does have the authority to determine whether insurance companies are underwriting properly or not.
Rosenfield, who also happens to be the founder of Consumer Watchdog, believes Lara can still use his emergency authority in these situations. For example, Lara could implement a rate freeze on insurers, like Congressman John Garamendi was able to do for more than 3 years during his tenure as insurance commissioner.
Insurance Commissioner Lara has that same power.
Again, you have that legal authority to file suit against some of these insurers.
Of course. This is a crisis.
We're all aware, Commissioner. Will you do it?
Of course, we're always in litigation with insurance companies that break our rules and break our laws.
How many court cases have you had in litigation against State Farm, Allstate, USAA? I mean, do you know that?
I do not know off the top of my head, but we can get you that information.
7 on Your Side investigates could not find any litigation the California Department of Insurance filed against those insurers pertaining to wildfire insurance issues. We asked Lara's office to confirm, but his team did not give us a straight answer and forwarded our questions to the Public Records Office. Yet we were told.
I can send you a list of different, court cases that we've won where we've continued to keep and hold insurance companies accountable.
His office provided a list of 5 cases they said Lara has won against insurers for allegedly overcharging consumers. But we found only 2 of them resulted in penalties. His office did not clarify about the other cases. And there were no records made available on his website.
We need competition. Competition between insurance companies is a big factor in keeping rates down.
Lara says his plan will do that, but will it come at a cost?
I feel very confident that we're going to bring down the cost of insurance for consumers. We're going to get this done within 1 year, and that isn't unheard of. We're literally flying and building the plane at the exact same time.
He's gonna crash that plane and all the rest of us with it.
Homeowners specifically.
Congressman John Garamendi, along with dozens of other lawmakers who signed this letter, still aren't sold his plan will work.
I was looking at my insurance policies, and in the last 3 years, the rates have tripled. Why? We don't know, because there's been no transparency.
Putting pressure on these insurance companies, how are you going to make that commitment to your constituents?
Our current enforcement tool, if they don't abide by the agreement, then guess what? I can retract that rate and hold them accountable bring down the rate increase.
I was really worried.
Meanwhile, millions of people just like Janet,
A sort of traumatic experience.
will be waiting to see if that happens.
And it would be nice to have a system that provided help.
Now, as you heard, the commissioner said insurers have already committed to writing 85% of their business in fire-prone areas. But his office later said that actually won't happen until the regulations are in effect next year. So until then, Lara hinted Allstate and Farmers have announced their intent to resume coverage, citing early success with his strategy. But the key word there being intent.
Right.
So we'll see if that happens.
And I know so many people who've had insurance dropped. It's such a big issue for so many people across the state.
It's remarkable. And as we continue to see insurers drop out of the state, it becomes even more pressing.
Yeah. Or for people to get insurance if they're buying a house, right?
Exactly.
That's true.
All right, Steph, thank you so much.
Well, if you need help with your home insurance, let us know about it. Reach out to 7 on Your Side by going to abc7news.com/